Having ended up with the two careers that involved my biggest fears, drowning in the ocean and that embarrassing, soul-destroying feeling of when you choke on stage, because of that, I've spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out how I can get around those feelings of fear. Initially, I thought if I looked hard enough, surely I would be able to find some really smart person out there who's come up with a technique or a mental hack that I could use to avoid feeling those feelings of fear. I spent a decade or so researching everything, reading everything I could find about fear. I read books written by psychiatrists, psychologists, successful business people, Olympic athletes, even the Dalai Lama himself. In the end, I was led with one simple glaring truth, one that all self-help books worth their weight in gold make apparent. That is, the only way through fear is experience. The only way through fear is experience. You have to do something over and over and over again to gain the knowledge, develop the skills that will help you navigate and master those scary environments. When you do face fear and build experience, it's like a switch goes off in your brain. And the things that you were afraid of, that once stressed you out, they all of a sudden become exciting and challenging. All of a sudden, you now see the world in a different way. Experience is how you overcome fear. Clinical psychologists call this process voluntary exposure therapy because it has to be voluntary. You have to choose. If you're forced into a scary situation, it activates your prey neurocircuitry. But if you choose to voluntarily face that fear, you activate your hunter neurocircuitry. In that state, you're exponentially more resilient. Surfing's version of voluntary exposure therapy is simulating what it's like to have a huge wave basically try and drown you. I found a very effective way to do this. One of my support team, Nam Baldwin, his background is in free diving. He can hold his breath for well over 5 minutes, much longer than I can. This is what Nam and I do. We go to a deep pool, swim to the bottom. It's my goal to get myself to the surface so that I can breathe. It's Nam's goal to hold me underwater until I pass out. We fight and we wrestle at the bottom of the pool, and as the oxygen starts to drain from my lungs, it triggers this frantic panic response in my brain. It's this response that I must learn to control. When you panic, your oxygen evaporates within seconds. If I panic out in the ocean, I'll die. So I do this training over and over again in a bid to rewire my brain so that when my lungs begin to burn in pain and my brain wants me to frantically fight, I'm still able to stay calm, focused, and utilize my oxygen efficiently. And as long as I don't panic, I'll make it to the top every time. Now, there's no part of me that enjoys doing that training. It's so tough. But it's the only way that I can manage my fear out in the ocean. The bigger the fear that you want to overcome, the higher that you want to raise your performance bar, then the tougher the journey is going to be to get that experience. That's why what I'm about to share with you next is the most important thing that will come out of my mouth to do with dealing with fear. Here's the principle. You have to want it more than you fear it. You have to want it more than you fear it. You have to crave what's on the other side of your fear more than you fear doing what it takes to get there. It all starts with motivation. What lies at the heart of courage and resilience are actually the same principles that lie at the heart of motivation. There's three things that have helped me more than anything else in my life to develop that motivation. They are what, why, and who. They're essentially three golden questions. What does success look like? Why do I want to succeed? And who's going to help me get there?